Good morning, grade 3. I welcome you to today's social studies lesson, and today we are going to read lesson 2, suburban communities. And our learning objective is to identify and define features of suburban communities. So please do not forget to pause this video, replay it, read through the text. Let's get started. First, I want you to observe this picture. What do you see? That's right, you see some greenery here, some trees, and that looks like a house, like a row house, right? Now, let's have a closer look and read through the text. This is the vocabulary that you will come across as we read the lesson. Let's begin reading. Many large cities have smaller communities around them. A smaller city or town built near a large city is called a suburb. So these are smaller cities that are built near or on the outskirts of larger cities, and they're called suburbs. So here we're going to read about Maplewood, a suburban community. Let's read. Maplewood, New Jersey is a suburb of New York City. It is one of the hundreds of suburbs around New York City. This suburban region includes communities in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Connecticut. A suburban region is made up of all the suburbs around a large city. So remember, a suburban region is made up of all the suburb cities that are around a larger city. Next page. Would you look at this boy? He's playing outdoor. Lots of space around the house, a huge backyard, front yard. This is the front yard, playgrounds, right? So this is John, and he likes to play soccer in his front yard in Maplewood, New Jersey. So I want you to ask yourself this question before we begin reading. How is life in a suburb different from life in a city? Now, last week when we were reading about urban communities, we saw tall buildings, crowded, jammed up places, lots of people, but suburbs are different. Let's read. Living in Maplewood. Years ago, John's parents lived in a New York City apartment, so they were in an urban community. After John was born, they decided to move to Maplewood, just 18 miles away. Now, they live in a house with a large yard on a tree-lined street. They have more space for their growing family. Like many suburbs, Maplewood has its own government and its own businesses. John and his family shop at the local supermarket, at small stores in downtown Maplewood, and at shopping centers at the edge of town. They also enjoy the town's parks and movie theater. We're going to pause here before we go to the next paragraph, and I want you to understand that as we read through the text, we have to take down notes. And these notes are that they decided to move to a suburb area, a suburb city, Maplewood, when they had John. And it's just 18 miles away, a large yard in front of their house on a tree-lined street, which is very different from urban communities. Why do you think the parents wanted to move to suburbs? Well, here's your answer. In the closing sentence of this paragraph, they have more space for their growing family. So some families usually do that. Next, let's look at the details here. Now, suburb. This suburb city, Maplewood, has its own government, its own shops, local supermarkets, right? And they also enjoy the town's parks and movie theaters. So there are parks and there is a movie theater in the suburb. Great. Let's read the last paragraph here. John attends one of the elementary schools in Maplewood. Every school day, his parents drive him to school. Then they ride the train into New York City where they work. So because the distance from suburb uh, area, city, typically this one right here, is only 18 miles from downtown New York City, first they drive into school, then they park their car somewhere, and then they ride the train into New York City. Great. Observe this picture. You can see that And you can see the caption right here. And I want you to pause and read this caption as well. People in this a suburban community, enjoy spending time with their neighbors. Great. I want you to compare and contrast now that you've read this paragraph. That how do you think life is different from life in city? This is a suburb. And what you're going to do today is this. You're going to reflect on your understanding of this lesson by solving a very easy e-quiz that I'll be posting. And I will also post some links for you to explore. And always do not forget to share your findings on e-discussions. Best of luck, grade 3.